Good evening, everybody. I'll give folks a couple minutes to join us and then we will get started. All right. Now, we may have a few friends join us, but for the sake of time, I will get us kicked off. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to what we call our Family to Family Tiger Talk webinar. My name is Casey Ford. I serve as the Director for Student Experience in the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement here at Clemson. And a large part of my role involves supporting you all as parents and family members and supporters of our Clemson students. And so we know that maybe you have joined us on campus for a Ready, Set, Roar orientation session, or perhaps are joining us later this week or next. You may also have had a chance to engage with some of the virtual orientation content that your student has had access to. And we know that while those two are some really great opportunities to learn more about campus and kind of help prepare for the fall, that they don't necessarily provide as much of an opportunity to get some in-depth Q&A time with folks across campus, partners who help us in the work of supporting your students, as well as some of our current students and families. And so in addition to those offerings, we offer what we call a Tiger Talk webinar series all summer, where we spend some specific time focused on certain topics or questions or parts of the student experience that may come up. And so tonight's is a little bit different in that rather than focusing on one particular office or resource on campus, we will focus on a few by hearing from a panel of current parents, family members, and students who are currently part of the Clemson University community. So I will actually do a little bit of a flip and go through some of our Clemson Family Programs presentation content first, and then we will transition to our panel time. So as a part of that, I'll shift to our presenters who will introduce themselves, tell you their connection to Clemson, and then offer a piece of advice. After that point, the whole entire rest of our time will be focused on facilitating that panel. So this is a time that we have set aside fully dedicated to answering any questions that you have. Again, whether those are for our students, for our current family members, or anything else that might be helpful as we get closer and closer to the fall. A few housekeeping things here before we get started. This is a Zoom webinar. I'm sure many of you are more familiar with that environment than you ever wanted to be at this point, but wanted to make sure that I covered just a few little notes there. You will notice that the audio and video has been muted on your screen. That is intentional, just so we can make sure that our panelists kind of have the floor, so to speak, and that we are able to get through the content that we prepared for you tonight. You'll also notice on your toolbar at the top or the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little Q&A button, so a question and answer button. We would ask that you use that to submit any questions. We're not able to monitor the hand raise tool in this environment, and we actually will use the chat mostly for sharing out any links or resources that go along with what we're sharing tonight. So would ask that you funnel any of those questions to the question and answer button. That allows all of us panelists to see those and to help field those for you tonight. The last piece I will mention before we jump in is that you'll also notice that this webinar is being recorded. So if we get into conversations or answers that you want to reference later or that you want to share with folks who may not have been able to join, I want you to know that that will be recorded. What we do is we get this processed in the next couple of days. We'll publish that on our Clemson Family Programs YouTube page, and then we will send that out through the Clemson Parent and Family Experience portal. So Riley will likely be able to share those links in the chat for you, but want you to know that you will have access to this later on if needed. All right, so as I mentioned, tonight is all about the experience of a Clemson parent and family member, and there are a few key resources, some dates, deadlines that I want to make sure that you are aware of and that I think will be relevant to your experience, particularly this upcoming semester. The first one, I've already talked about it, is called the Clemson Parent and Family Experience Portal. When I share this content in person, I ask for a show of hands in hopes that this is not the first time that you are seeing this. We share this first because this is the hub for all Clemson family communication. So you can see that it kind of works like a news feed. It's similar to social media tools in that way. Anything that impacts your student, whether that is a date coming up that we want you to be aware of, a new campus policy that's going into place, anything related to the town of Clemson that might be relevant, or content that we think is particularly pertinent for parents, this is the first place that we're going to put it. So it works like a newsfeed, as I said. We also use that to send some targeted emails, which is helpful. We host some event registrations on there, which I'll talk more about. And then it also has a community feature. So many of you, it's possible that you're already a part of it. Many of you are in what's called the 2025 Parent and Family Orientation Community. So while this portal is open and accessible to all 73,000 parents who are using it, we do have a community created specifically for our newest families with some of the content that is most relevant to you. So you may not remember, learning the exact logistics of move-in, for example, or how your student should buy a parking pass, or some of those technology requirements right now, but we know that in a couple of weeks, as you are preparing for that move-in process and kind of going through the checklist, that those things will pop up again. And so we have set and scheduled content for you in that portal since May through mid-August. So I want to make sure that you are aware of that resource. If you are seeing this for the first time, or if that is new information, Riley, if you'll share that portal link in the chat, it is a super easy process to get signed up. The next place where you would find information would be our website, of course. So I mentioned in the beginning that I work in the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement. We do a lot. So that main website homepage will direct you to a few different places, but Family Programs is a tab on that website. As a part of that drop down, you'll see kind of an overview, a couple of resource pages, those helping you and helping your student drop downs have a lot of great information on those. And then those also detail the family orientations dropdown as well. So you are engaging in part of that family orientation experience right now, of course, in the Tiger Talk webinar environment. And then I mentioned the Ready, Set, Roar experience and the virtual orientation modules as well. You all are a part of our second to last Tiger Talk webinar of the summer. So we've got one more coming up in a couple weeks, which I will talk a little bit more about before we wrap up tonight. But just one more reminder that all of these have been recorded and published. So if you are joining us for the first time tonight and are like, I really could use some refresher on some of that student billing information, or I'm really interested in some of those wellness resources, again, just want you to know that those have all been published and sent out as well. You may also know that here at Clemson University, Family Weekend is a big deal. We certainly like to think. So Family Weekend is a game day designation here at Clemson. Saturday at Family Weekend is our fall Family Weekend football game. So we kind of anchor our programming around that. We host a big tailgate that Saturday, a brunch, closing out brunch the following Sunday. I always explain this in Saturday, Sunday, Friday order. And Friday of that weekend, we have a few smaller kind of social opportunities for you. So we always host a Fall Family Weekend trivia event, typically a movie night or a craft night that follows that. And then we also invite all of our academic colleges to host an event there as well. So want to make sure that you have some time to come and reunite with your student and experience their new home along with them, and also want to affirm that they have been working really hard academically in that first 6 weeks, and would love for them to have the chance to share that with you too. I should mention that registration opened for Fall Family Weekend on July 16th. It will stay open until September 3rd. And so registration for Family Weekend is hosted through that Clemson Parent Family Experience portal. Riley, if you don't mind sharing that direct link to that sign up page or registration page, that would be great. We've got a couple ticket options for you there. We also hosted a webinar on July 9th, specifically about Family Weekend and that registration process. So if you have more questions about what to expect from either of those processes, would recommend giving that a watch as well. All right, finally, last but not least, a resource that we are super proud of when it comes to supporting families is our Clemson Family Ambassador Board. So this is a group of 60-ish, I've started saying, current family members who, again, are current parents and guardians of Clemson students. They volunteer at events with us. They meet quarterly to make sure that they are kind of up to date on all things Clemson, and really care about what is best for Clemson students. And so I would certainly like to think that we as staff members and as student leaders have a lot of good words to share and a lot of knowledge that we hope is helpful for you as incoming families. And I know that that certainly sounds different from some of that wisdom and that knowledge that comes directly from Clemson parents who were in your shoes not long ago. And so we're actually going to use the rest of our time together tonight to do that, to engage in a panel discussion in hopes that you get to hear kind of directly from the source. So at this point, I will transition over to our panelists. Students, we will start with you. If you will tell us who you are, where you're coming from, and then if you could offer one piece of advice for our newest families, that would be great. Sam, you can kick us off.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Watts. I'm a senior early childhood education major from Lexington, South Carolina. And if I could offer one piece of advice, it's to give yourself grace and patience, because just as your students are going through a transition, so are you. So just take some time, take some deep breaths. It'll all be okay.
Hey y'all, I'm Katie Ostergaard. I'm a sophomore agricultural education major from Irmo, South Carolina. And my piece of advice would be to, if you know your student's having a hard time, sending them just a little note in the mail, a little bit of encouragement in the mail. It feels really nice to get mail, so it can be really encouraging.
Hey guys, I'm Lanier Ashley. I am a sophomore criminal justice major from Athens, Georgia, and I would advise you to encourage your student to join organizations, clubs, and follow a major that has a lot of passion for them and a lot of excitement. It's definitely really exciting when your parents support you in the decisions that you make.
Hey everybody, my name's Ethan Castleman, and I'm a sophomore computer science major from Chesney, South Carolina. And my bit of advice I'd give you is, even though your students are kind of going away to college, there's going to be that first few weeks of like a honeymoon phase where they're kind of like doing their own thing for the first time. It's important to keep in touch with them, because as much as they might be having fun being in college and everything, it's nice to hear back from home just to touch base every once in a while.
Hi everyone, my name is Sherelle Huggins. I'm a sophomore health science major from Columbia, South Carolina. And if I could offer one piece of advice, it would be to allow your student to kind of navigate and kind of find their own niche on campus by themselves. Because yes, this is their journey, and you want them to feel like they're allowing themselves to find themselves and doing this all on their own.
All right, Robin, will you kick off our CFAB intros?
Sure. I'm Robin Stringer. I'm from Anderson, South Carolina, which is just about 20 minutes away from the Clemson campus. I've got a senior son who's studying ag mechanization and business. And our three daughters graduated from Clemson. So I've been here, part of the Clemson family, for quite a while. And one thing that's really worked for our family and that I recommend is trying to establish a communication plan. Now, that means, Mom, don't text every day, don't call every day. Dad, be sure you do call sometimes, but talk with your student sit down and say, recognize that they are trying to become adults and we're having to let them go, but establish a time or a day, a way of communicating, whether it's text or phone call once a week, whatever is good for your family. Set that up so that everyone is clear on it and knows, and then you can look forward to the call and they will too.
Hi, everybody. I'm Shay Razakis. I am also from Anderson, South Carolina. I have a son who graduated in May. He was a management major, and I have a daughter who is a rising junior in marketing. My word of advice is to encourage your student as soon as they get onto campus to engage with the Academic Success Center. There's all sorts of resources available from one-on-one tutoring, group tutoring, which is called PAL, Peer Assisted Learning. They have student success seminars. They have academic coaching. And that's also where you would get in touch with any sort of accommodations that that your student might have had in high school. If your student had a 504 or anything like that, the Student Success Center is located within the Academic Success Center. So that is a wonderful resource, and it's great to make contact right off the bat.
I'll jump in and go next. I'm Tanya Tucker. I'm from Rock Hill, South Carolina. And we have, my husband Todd and I have our third child who is a Clemson student right now. He is a junior and he's a psychology major. I have been blessed to be a part of the Clemson Family Ambassador Board for a number of years as well. And my tip to you would be to support your students' academic growth and transition, but also support their mental well-being as they transition into this level of independence, recognizing that there are going to be wonderful opportunities for them at Clemson to grow, to soar, to thrive, kind of find their footing, but also understanding there may be some stumbles and challenges, and we want you to stay connected to them, to their mental well-being, just keeping in touch through the communication pieces, phone calls, text messages, writing letters, lots of visits and opportunities to come and volunteer and be a part of the Clemson family, but also you know your child best. And when they go off to school to Clemson, you know that core foundation of them and the young person that you have shaped and nurtured, that doesn't change. So look for those signs. If you notice anything that is amiss or off, just stay in tune with their mental well-being and access all the resources and supports that are available to them and to you during this time of transition.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Todd Tucker. If you haven't figured out, I go with Tanya. So she mentioned we have three sons who've two graduated from Clemson, and as Tanya mentioned, our third son is a rising junior at Clemson. I have nothing but good things to say about Clemson. Your kid has made a great choice in the university they wish to attend. What I will share with you, and one tip that I will give new parents, is a big transition, as we know, from high school to college. And one of the things we talk about, or we make sure we talk about our kids about keeping in touch, making sure you do your homework. But there's a big balance of juggling information when you enter college. So spend some time, because your student is going to have to juggle their financial responsibility, their personal health, their social life and activities around their social life. And then on top, the most important, they have to juggle their class and their schedules. So talk to them about time management before they leave home. And then one of the recommendations that I'm going to give, coming from a parent of three that went through Clemson, is we encouraged our sons to use a agenda or planner, because it helps you lay out your day, helps you see everything in a bigger picture, and it helps keep you organized and balance you throughout your day. So that's my tip, and go Tigers.
Hi, good evening. My name is Faith Geed, and I am from Springfield, Missouri. My daughter, we're from the Midwest, so my daughter just finished her freshman year as a Clemson Tiger. And so I believe I'm 888 miles from the Clemson campus. But I can tell you this, it was the best decision. She is so happy there. She is thriving. My advice to you, you've raised your kids right. It's a pretty special opportunity to get accepted to Clemson, and they've worked hard to get there. And my advice is to sit back and just watch them grow, and just sit back and just see them go. And when you drop them off, cheer them on. The communication is great. Thank goodness for cell phones and FaceTime. And I'm so thankful for that. And you're not alone. I met Robin at one of the first socials for parents visiting during orientation. And I tell you, they want your kids to succeed. So my advice, ask questions, get help, be there to support your child, even if you're in South Carolina or like me in Missouri, over 800 miles away. So go Tigers. And my daughter is majoring, I think she's decided computer information systems is her major, is what I believe she's decided on. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, panelists. We will officially kind of transition over now to the panel discussion part of the evening, or continue with that, I should say. I know we've got a couple that have been sent in here. Always, I will punt this one to you all. This question comes from a parent whose student sounds like they are an introvert to a degree. They'll be living in the shoeboxes this upcoming semester and haven't heard much yet. Any perspectives on the shoeboxes, but also just living on campus, making that transition as someone who maybe loves some alone time? I feel them. I totally relate. Any perspectives on that transition piece, always?
Yeah, I can speak on this a little bit. So I would definitely say there's no bad housing on campus. One of my top housing choices was a shoebox, and my best friend lived over there, so I spent a lot of time over there. So I have nothing negative to say about that or any other housing accommodation that we have. I can say if your student likes having some alone time, encourage them to be kind of proactive during that roommate agreement period at the first few weeks of school, where your student will sit down with their roommate, maybe a suite mate, and kind of work through the, hey, I like studying at night, I like studying in the morning, maybe let's not play music. Those kind of things that come up with living with somebody. Definitely getting out there and meeting other people in the hallway is great, but there are definitely spaces on campus to have some alone time. But I really like the shoe boxes, and I wish I could have lived there freshman year.
For what it's worth, we hear glowing reviews from the community experience by our shoebox students every year. So think that they are in for a treat for sure. All right, let's start out strong with one we always get. How can students get football tickets? Orientation ambassadors, I'm going to hand that one to you all as well.
I can take this one. So football tickets are the one sport that are kind of difficult because it's kind of like a lottery system. So with the lottery, you kind of rank your games and then you're put in a lottery system. Now with the lottery system, there comes a point system. So freshmen obviously have the lowest priority and seniors have the highest priority. Something you can do to help your point system is to join the IPTE Collegiate Club, which is a $50 membership per year or $150 for all 4 years. And once you have that membership, it has a better chance of you getting tickets to a game because you have higher points. So if your student is a freshman and they're part of the IPTE Collegiate Club, they have 2 points, which basically gives them a better chance at getting a ticket. And so, yeah.
And if anyone doesn't know, IPTE is like our athletic booster club here on campus. The money that is raised through that goes towards building better facilities, making us more competitive in athletics, and helping donate towards scholarships. And IPTE, when it was formed, stood for I Pay 10 a year. So a group of people got together and decided if everyone can contribute $10 a year, we can help build that athletic environment up. Obviously, as time has progressed, it's gotten a little bit more than $10 a year, but the sentiment is still the same. We want to be competitive in those athletic environments and create the best resources on campus for our athletes as well.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. I saw a couple of clarifying questions about family weekend that I can address real quick here. Someone asked if that is open to only new student families and said they can't make it this year, but hope to participate in the future. Absolutely. So I would say that we tend to see a good number of our newest families join us for that weekend, but it is certainly open to all Clemson families and always is. So no worries if that is not going to make the calendar this year, but would certainly love to see you next year as well. All right. Next up, happy to hear from our OAs or our CFEB members or both. I would say in addition to joining clubs, what is the best way to meet people and make friends?
I don't mind starting. So I came to Clemson and was very anxious about meeting people. Um, and clubs felt a little overwhelming to jump into right away. And so I literally just started talking to people in my class. Like you see them every day, every other day. So literally just looking over to the person sitting next to him, being like, hey, my name's Samantha. Who are you? Like, what's your major? Where are you from? And those small conversations, I've met some of my very best friends from doing that. So definitely recommend your students looking to their seat neighbors in class and just introducing themselves.
Yeah, that and also making study groups is a really good way to make friends, especially in your major. And then also just chatting with people in the elevator in your dorm, just being like, hey, I'm Katie, nice to meet you. What are you up to today? And then this is kind of weird, but running errands together is a really good way to bond with someone. So if you're like, hey, I really need to make a Walmart run, I don't really want to go alone, you can bring somebody, like be like, hey, text one of your classmates, someone you study would be like, hey, like I need to run to Walmart. Do you need anything? Do you want to come with? It's a really good way to get to know that person and bond with them on a different level.
It's been a while since I was in college, but some of the people that I enjoyed talking to and meeting that are still friends of mine, I met on the bus. And the cat bus going around. I think that's a great place to just start conversations and get to know people. And we always have funny stories because there's always something funny happening on a cat bus.
All right, y'all. I'm scrolling through here. I
Um,
know. Oh, go ahead.
no, you're good. I saw a few follow-up questions about football tickets. Are we good to kind of cover those real quick?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
So, I know there was some saying, when will the lottery like system be announced? Tell your students to check their email already. Like if they're not doing it already, check it multiple times a day because that email will be coming within the next few weeks. So definitely don't want to miss that. Um, and then as far as, hold on, I'm trying to scroll and find it. So the point system, each year that you're a student, you get a point. So freshmen will have 1 point, sophomore will have 2 points because they have their freshman year point and their sophomore year point. So without collegiate club, a senior could only have 4 points total. But if they join collegiate club, they get an additional point for every year they're in it. So say they were a senior and we're in the IPTE collegiate club for all 4 years, and they'll have 8 points instead of just the regular 4.
Thanks, Sam. I saw one question particularly about family weekend parking, a good question. So what is the best way to navigate the parking situation for family weekend? Can visitors pay to park on campus on Saturday? And what about Friday and Sunday's activities? So yes is the short answer. We will have designated family weekend parking on Friday and Sunday of that weekend. So we will have what we call relaxed enforcement at a nearby lot on campus that will put you pretty close to the programs that we have going on that Friday and that Sunday. Saturday, unfortunately, is what we call game day parking. So very much up to you, up to whatever Clemson has in store for that day. So, and I may tap our ambassadors here to give some context on a typical game day, but it is certainly taken over by all things football and all things tailgating on that day. So yes, you can pay through parking and transportation for a weekend pass if you'd like. You can pay through IPTAY to secure that. You can park downtown, which still puts you pretty close, but we are unfortunately not able as an office to provide designated parking on that Saturday. CFAB and orientation ambassadors, family weekend / game day tips that you would add to that question and answer. Parking tips specifically.
Stacy, Todd here.
Patient.
I would say parents, if you are coming to probably any game at Clemson, it's a pretty great experience to actually go to a game. I really enjoy going to the night games. There's just something about the night games and the light show. But one thing that I would definitely tell you, if you are driving into a game on the day of the game, I would probably get there, and correct me if I'm wrong, Casey, probably well in advance, 2 hours before that game, if not sooner, before that game starts. There's a lot of opportunities. One of the things that my wife and I experienced coming to a game is the tailgates. Everyone is just so friendly. Uh, I mean, you could pretty much drop into any tailgate and you're going to get offered, something to eat or something to drink. Just a great, wholesome experience on game day.
Yeah, and to tag into what Todd is saying, I had noticed a question about if parents weren't going to be able to come to Fall Family Weekend, were there activities for their students to do? Yes, there's so much going on all over campus. There are club activities, there are dorm floor activities, but it really is very much a family atmosphere, just walking around and participating in the tailgates. You may or uh, may not know the people that you're walking by the tailgate, and they offer you some chili, or they offer you some candy, or you look like you need a bottle of water. So it's really a lot of different activities, and there will certainly be things available for your student to do if you aren't able to join them for Fall Family Weekend.
Good call, Shay.
I'd like to say one more thing about Fall Family Weekend. So if you are coming and your students there, don't be offended if they see you and they say, "Oh, I've got to go. I'm going to go meet some friends," because this is probably something you're looking forward to. It's the first time you've seen them maybe since you dropped them off at move-in, and you just want to spend every minute with them that you can. But if they don't want to spend every minute with you, that is a good thing. That means they are loving Clemson and they're thriving. And so just be prepared to enjoy Clemson, maybe with your spouse or your other kids, and just know that your student is doing really well.
I want to make sure we cover a couple lingering family weekend pieces before we move along. So, Riley, I'll lean on you for some link help here, but a couple questions about the football game itself. So yes, you are absolutely able to go ahead and purchase tickets for that football game. Athletics sets aside a block of family weekend tickets. We sent those out through the portal a few weeks back, and I was just looking at it yesterday with some families. So I know that link is live and working. You are welcome to purchase directly from that delegation. We'll make sure to share that with you. You certainly don't have to if you want to kind of go through Ticketmaster's Clemson's official ticket vendor. If you want to just go through the regular, football website, we can share that too if you want to buy those that way, or if you want to, purchase those really in any other way, you're welcome to do that. But want you to know that we do have that specific several sections set aside for you for that football game as well.
Also, if you're wanting your student to sit with you for the football game, then you need to buy a ticket for them as well. Otherwise, their seat, if they get a ticket like through the lottery or something like that, would be in the student section, which unfortunately families aren't in like that section. So if you want to sit with your student, you would have to get them a ticket as well.
All right, I'm looking. Always, can you all explain for students who have to move their vehicles on game day, what students should expect from that process?
I can speak on that. So I lived in Crib this past year and I had to move my car for game days. I want to say the shuttle, it starts in the afternoon and it comes about every 15 minutes. So you drive your car from R3 over to, I want to say C8, and the shuttle will run about every 15 minutes to drive you back over to the parking lot, or back over, excuse me, to the dorms. It'll drop you off by Dillard Hall. And then on Sunday to get your car back, you can take the shuttle that drops you, it picks you up at Dillard Hall, drives you over to the parking lot, and then you just park your car back over at the R3 parking lot. And it seems like it's a hassle, but it's really not that bad. And if your student is someone who likes to get up early, I really enjoyed getting up early on a Sunday and going to get my car and getting a really good spot in the parking lot. So little tip, if they want to get a really good spot, get up on Sunday and go move your car really early.
And then an important thing to keep in mind with moving your car is starting at 12:01 a.m. day of game, they start towing. So it is very important for your students to have moved their car before midnight.
We can attest to that in our family. It is a real thing.
All right, I saw another question about transportation on that day, family weekend, or I would say of any game day. One thing that we recommend a lot is there's an option for your parking to be at what we call the New Spring Lot, which is a nearby shopping center not too far from campus, and shuttling in that way. Riley, if you don't mind finding the best link to explain those transit options, that would also be a good recommendation for that Saturday or any Saturday that keeps you from having to park directly on campus.
I know in years past, the New Spring lot and the Seneca Creek Meadows lot, they're first come, first serve, but they were free. And then they do have a shuttle that runs every few minutes from those lots and they drop off at Doug Kingsmore Stadium, which is our baseball stadium. So it's a much shorter walk, which is nice.
A couple questions about where to stay for Fall Family Weekend. Many of you have likely already discovered that for that weekend and any game day weekend, hotels do fill up very quickly. We'll share this in the link as well. We would recommend any nearby towns that are not Clemson proper, if you will. So easily Anderson, Central, Pendleton, even Greenville. Those are not too far away that likely have a few more options. With a lot of families who look for Airbnbs close by, would recommend those as well. But they do fill up. You are certainly correct about that. All right, I'm going to keep scrolling, but move us along topic-wise here. A couple of questions for our out-of-state friends, and I know we have representation, both our students and our CFAB folks. A couple questions about, the airport shuttles. So for our out-of-state students, what can they expect from airport shuttles? How does that process work? Sam, I'm just going to have you start because I just know you're so used to answering this question.
Perfect. So as far as airport shuttles, about 2 months prior to a big break, your students will receive an email saying that airport shuttles are available and to go ahead and start requesting their seats. They are free, but they are first come, first serve. So definitely want your students checking their email for that. We go to GSP, which is our Greenville Spartanburg Airport, and we go to Charlotte. We do not go to Atlanta. I don't think I could imagine one of our buses driving through Atlanta traffic. But they are really, really great resources, especially for students who maybe don't bring a car to campus. And a really great resource to kind of follow up with more information will be our parking and transportation website.
And I heard from a couple folks say that it looked like some of that was 2024 info. So I've just reached out to see when we can expect some updates there.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, those run on your big break. So like fall break, that little like December to January break that we'll get, spring break, things like that.
Okay, I know that I saw a few questions about the move-in process, so I'm going to shift us to that topic. Can you all speak to the actual process of move-in? What does that 30-minute window mean? What can we expect as families? And then in that explanation, anything you all would recommend bringing and anything you would say, you can leave that at home. You're not going to need it.
I can kind of start us off. So, the biggest thing for you and your student is that Clemson Home Portal. It has housing assignments, and you're going to print your move in packet. So, it's going to have parking information. It's going to have you print out two slips of paper to kind of designate your car for that 30-minute window when you are going to go up to the dorm building and unload every item. The key thing is only unload. You'll have another chance to bring everything into the building, but that's kind of the biggest thing about what that 30 minutes really looks like. We suggest that you don't bring anything more that won't fit into two vehicles, since that's how many slips of paper you'll have to put into your car. But from there, you're going to unload everything in front of your dorm building, and then you're going to bring your car to a designated parking lot. Again, that will be in your move-in packet. Sometimes it depends on what dorm you're moving into or what resident pass you have. From there, you're going to move everything up into your room, and you can take the rest of the day to kind of set everything up as you like. Something that was really helpful for me is not bringing too many decor items. I know a lot of people get really excited about bringing a lot of items to really decorate their space, but I found that just walking around campus, I gained a lot of items that were Clemson themed. And so I only brought some things that were really special to me and really made the place my own and kind of left everything else at home. Another thing that was really helpful for my family and I was bringing our own kind of like dolly or like little cart. My dorm building did not have carts on the first few days of move-in, and so we didn't want to have to haul everything up the stairs every time. And so having a cart was really, really helpful if your vehicle was able to hold one.
My go-to move-in item is to have a pair of scissors not packed in a box. So just have them kind of freehand, because the worst thing is getting all the boxes in the room and you go to open them and there's no scissors. So definitely have scissors ready. And a
Well,
fan.
as Lanier said, definitely if you have one of those little beach carts that you can bring with you, that is definitely a great help. But you will find when you get to your move-in that it really goes so much smoother than you think it does. If you print out the move-in packet and you follow the map and you follow the directions, it really is just kind of click clack. Um, so you know, you'll be surprised. I think this past year, when my daughter was moving into the Douthat apartments, from the time that we went to pick up her move-in, her initial move-in information, to when we were actually in front of her dorm unloading, was less than 15 minutes. So it really does move very, very quickly.
Yes, you've got to remember that this might be your first time moving someone into Clemson, but Clemson's been doing this for years and they've got it down to a science. They've got people that are pointing the way that'll help you, where to park, point over here. They'll say, put your stuff over there, so you're going to just follow directions and you'll be fine.
One thing that I would recommend parents, and I think I missed this on my first two kids moving in, but the third one we had it down packed. It's those little sticky 3M hooks that you hang on the wall, the ones that will peel away at the end of the year and won't damage the wall. You will not find those in Clemson. They will all be gone off the shelf. So those little 3M stickies that you use to hang calendars, photos, or other things on the wall, grab a couple of those before you head to Clemson.
All right, I think that was most of our move-in questions. A couple questions, and we've sort of touched on this a bit, but a couple questions about having a car on campus, what the thought is there, and then if I don't have a car or my student rather does not bring a car, how might they get around campus? Bicycle, e-scooter, bike? Yes to all of the above. Oh, wait, can y'all talk about having a car on campus?
I can give a little bit of perspective on a student who did not have a car their first time on campus, kind of the other side. So my first year, I didn't have a car on campus. And so I will say campus is definitely walkable. Uh, Getting to any of your classes is definitely not an issue. And even getting to like the facilities around campus really isn't that bad. It never took me more than 10 to 15 minutes to get anywhere on campus at a time. So, uh, another service that I would recommend is using Uber and other things like that if you really need to get somewhere else. If you don't have any friends that have like cars that you can ask if you can get a ride, Uber definitely is a good way to get to places if you need to get a little bit further away from campus and you can't necessarily walk there.
Awesome. Thanks, Ethan.
Casey, can I say one more thing about move-in?
Yes, ma'am.
So with move-in, something to kind of keep in your mind is that it's a stressful time in a way because it's a good stress, but it's a scary stress. You know, they're leaving you, you're leaving them behind. Just have a little patience with yourself and with your students. You'll get through it. At the end, there's going to be hugs and kisses, maybe a few tears. But just really try to don't take things personally if they snap, because at least that's my girls were snappers. So, you know, you had to just kind of understand that they were nervous and that they could be free with me how they wanted to talk for a little bit, but then it turns out to be a good experience after all.
All right, I know we've got our OAs kind of in the Q&A feed answering some here. I saw a couple questions about club sports and some just in general, curious about how to get involved with some other opportunities. Shay, do you mind speaking to that a little bit?
Yeah, my son, when he transferred into Clemson, he got connected with the men's rugby club pretty much immediately. And throughout his time at Clemson, he stayed very involved with rugby. He absolutely loved it. It was very much like a fraternity. Those guys went to meals together. They studied together. Of course, they socialized together. So he really had a great experience with that. My daughter is a little bit more of an introvert. When she started as a freshman at Clemson, she spent her first semester really, she hung out with the students that lived on her hall in her dorm. Her second semester, she got connected with the Clemson student newspaper and started being a contributing writer there. She pledged a sorority her first semester of her sophomore year. And then her second semester of her sophomore year, she added in volunteering with the Clemson Players, which is basically the drama club. So there's all sorts of different avenues for students to get involved, but there's also a different pace for different students. So, your student may not find their people right off the bat, but they will find their people. Just have faith. Give them time to explore and encourage them to give themselves time to explore and really get to know the opportunities that are available, because it really has been a wonderful experience for both of my students, even though their experiences have been very different.
Yeah, I definitely completely agree with everything that she just said. I'm on a club sport, I'm on the equestrian team, and I have absolutely loved my time on it. I've met some of my best friends there. They're genuinely some of the best people I've met, and I have nothing but positive things to say about it. One of the best ways to get to know the different clubs that we offer is that we have something called Tiger Quest, which is our online database with all of the clubs that we have. Your student just looks up Tiger Quest, and then they can search in the bar for whatever they're interested in. So they can look like the equestrian team has one on there, the archery team has one on there. There's a scuba club that has one. So just search what you're interested in. Anything should pop up. Every club that we have that goes with that will pop up. And then also we have Tiger Prowl, which is August 19th from 5 to 8 p.m. It'll be in the stadium, and it will be our giant club fair. There will be hundreds of clubs, so there will be something for everybody. The late night board gaming club is there. There's some car racing clubs. Like I said, scuba is there. And there's some really interesting clubs to look at. It's also just cool just to see what Clemson offers, because the car racing clubs bring a car that you can look at. The kayaking club will bring one of their kayaks and you can just see it. All the club sports will also have not only a place on Tiger Quest, but they will have a table at Tiger Prowl if you're interested. They'll have something you can sign up for just to get on the email list, and then you'll be able to find more information too.
Awesome response, Katie. Robin, I feel like you're adding.
So there as many clubs as there are at Clemson and organizations, if your student is interested in something that they don't find, they can start a club of their own. And that's something that's not very difficult to do. But I can't really tell you how to do it. You'll have to ask an OA how to do it. I just know that one of my daughters did start a club when she was a sophomore at Clemson that is still around now. It's a mental health club called Mindset. And Clemson had all the paperwork that she had to fill out, all the, and they just worked with her, made it very easy for her to do it. So I think there's like a knitting club at Clemson. So, if there's a hobby that your student has that and a couple other people do, you can start a club. It doesn't have to be a big thing.
Yes, Robin is exactly right. And I want to make sure we spend some time on that topic as well. I saw a couple other questions. One about students who could not attend any of the Ready Set Roar sessions and what might make up for that. So I know that those sessions are limited, and many of you may have hoped to experience that and not been able to this summer. And I would really offer up Welcome Week and Weeks of Welcome as kind of the answer to that question. So we know that those are certainly great opportunities over the summer, and also that we're just not able to accommodate all of our students and families who are interested in that. What we can do and what we do have each year and each fall is our Welcome Week programming that is open to all students. And so Katie mentioned Tiger Prowl, which is right in the middle of that Welcome Week. That is sort of our official on-campus, in-person welcome. I kind of think of it as an extended orientation for all of our incoming students. So we have a lot of social programming that week. Clemson loves the glow theme. So we've got glow golf, we've got glow night, we've got glow yoga, whatever you can imagine that would be kind of in that theme. We also have our new student convocation that week. So that's kind of our official academic welcome. President Clements addresses our newest class in Little John Coliseum that week. That turns into an athletic showcase. So picture a huge pep rally with all of our head coaches and our Tiger Band. We have students come onto the football field, and Tiger Band helps us get everyone in the paw formation, and we take their photo as a little souvenir. We do something called Clemson Leader Day. There's a lot going on. that welcome week this year. And we'll spend some time on all of those details at our next webinar, actually. But I also wanted to mention that this year we are expanding that program into 6 weeks of welcome. So we know that your students are not, magically completely transitioned and ready to tackle the world just because it's the first day of class. And so while we will not have quite that exact same welcome week schedule, copy paste times 6, we will have some extended support and some structured seminar events all the way through mid-September. So right around that time that we will get back together for family weekend, and those will be available to your student as well. So we are going to spend a lot of time talking about that on our August 5th webinar, but wanted you to know that if Ready, Set, Roar is an experience that you were not able to attend this summer, that there will be lots of opportunities for your student to experience, some time on campus, get to know other peers, get to know faculty and staff, and really have that face-to-face interaction as they transition this fall. Jumping back real quickly, I forgot to include this in our family weekend spiel, but I think it's important to talk about. There was a question about how to navigate event details, parking information during family weekend. So if you go online to the Clemson Parent and Family Experience portal to go and register, you will notice that there are a couple links that go directly to our schedule. So our schedule is hosted in Guidebook. Our version of Guidebook is called the CU Events app, the Clemson University Events app. You will see the desktop webpage version of that when you go to view the schedule, but every detail that you could think of about those events, parking instructions, transportation, the campus map, all of that can be found in that actual app. So it's called the CU Events app. We've got a video on our Student Affairs YouTube account of our one and only Robin Stringer walking you through a very detailed tutorial of that app. And that is the same app that you, or your students, I should say, will use for other events on campus as well. So hopefully by the time they have made it through Welcome Week and Weeks of Welcome, they are pros and can show you exactly how that works. But really great question. So the CU Events app is what you will use to navigate those details. And of course, we'll send several pre-arrival emails to kind of make sure you all have an idea of what to expect there, but always want to make sure that we plug that app as well. Welcome Week is August 13th through the 20th. Good question. So August 13th through the 20th is going to be the timeline for that Welcome Week. So Welcome Week events start happening as move-in starts happening. What I think is important to note there, and I saw this question earlier, we know that that is happening at the same time as our Panhellenic primary recruitment process. We work really, really closely with that staff to make sure that students who are going through that recruitment process are able to do both. So they're able to participate in that process, not miss pieces of that experience, but are also able to not miss kind of those big signature events of Welcome Week. So if your student falls into that category, never fear. We've got staff on both sides, Welcome Week leaders, recruitment counselors who have the same knowledge of both schedules and are able to make sure that your students are able to experience both for sure. Yes, I saw a couple of questions, and I may tap Sam here for her perspective, but a couple of questions about transfer students and their ability to connect with Welcome Week programming. So yes, a lot of that programming is certainly open to our transfer students as well. Some of that is geared toward first-year students, as in first time in college students, but a lot of it is just first time at Clemson students. So if you have students who are coming from another institution, know that they are available to participate in a lot of those events, and we'll get some of the same communication about those events too. Sam, anything to add there?
I know it may seem silly, especially as a transfer student, you probably have already attended like a convocation at your previous school. That is the most hype environment. I love it. Like our athletic staff will come out, get everyone all excited for Clemson. So I know it seems like, oh, I've already kind of done this somewhere else. Definitely recommend seeing it because Clemson does it like no one else can.
I would also plug that the webinar we had before this one was about the transfer student experience specifically. So if you have questions about resources available to your student or what our friends in transfer programs are doing, we shared that link out about 3 hours ago. All right, I think our OAs are handling our final couple questions here in the Q&A feature. CFAB. Anything else y'all would like to add in the way of guidance before we transition to our final remarks? All right.
Okay, so I want to kind of piggyback on what Tanya said when in her initial remarks about the mental health part of your student. Mental health is a big deal on Clemson campus. We've got a mental health officer now, and we are concerned, supportive. Everything that your student needs, they can find here at Clemson to help with them if they have any kind of mental health issue, whether it's just stress or whether it's something more serious than stress, although stress can be very serious. So there's the CAPS program. There's, mental health counselors there. I just think that your student is in a safe place and a really good place to help educate them and also help take care of their mind, body, and soul too.
Yeah, and I will just add to Robin's comments about the resources on campus for mental health. The wonderful thing about Clemson, and I would venture to say not as many universities the scale of Clemson does provide the number of resources for mental health. What they're doing essentially is normalizing, taking that stigma about mental illness away, because we all have to have a balance of life. Mental health is a part of our overall health and wellness, right? So it's not like mental health means you have a problem or an issue. And Clemson really does embrace the notion of making sure that the holistic student is being developed and nurtured and cared for. So they really do destigmatize that mental health aspects, which is key for your student and for you as parents and families.
All right. Well, as we wrap up this evening, I want to first thank our panelists. These are some shining stars in terms of parents and students who can speak to this experience. And I'm hopeful that what they've shared helps you all feel more equipped and more ready for the work of supporting your student in that transition, and also more supported in your own transition. So I know that this is a big deal for your student, no matter where you're coming from, but I also know it's a big deal for you and will bring about some new routines and some new relationships and a new normal. So certainly understand that there may be some big feelings that come with that. And as Tanya and Robin shared, want to make sure that we are validating those feelings for sure. So I mentioned this a couple times as I answered questions, particularly about that welcome week piece, but we have one final Tiger Talk coming up. So August 5th at 5 p.m. This is what we call our Next Steps for Success session. So this summer, we've kind of been focused on this summer and some content that has been kind of relevant as your student has made it through their journey to Clemson. We're shifting now to kind of August, that first week, that first month, that first semester, and some pieces that are going to become a little bit more real and a little bit more relevant there. So in the topic of supporting our students, we will hear from Dr. Kimberly Poole, who is our Dean of Students and is incredible at what she does and cares a lot about supporting Clemson students as whole people. So she will be present to talk with us, and then we will hear from Dr. Sue Horton, who directs our Academic Success Center, Dr. Neil Burton, who directs our Center for Career and Professional Development, and then Jordan Worrell, our Assistant Director of New Student Experience, who is our primary programmer for all things Welcome Week and Weeks of Welcome. So in addition to the resources that the Academic Success Center always offers, there are some specific Jumpstart workshops coming up in the first couple of weeks of campus. Similarly, the Career Center has some career fairs and some resources that are always offered, but there are a couple of August and September kind of specific offerings that we want to make sure you all are aware of. And then, as I said, Welcome Week, which will lead into Weeks of Welcome. We want to make sure that you all have the most updated information there. So that was a long plug, but would certainly love if you joined us for our last session there. As always, that one, along with this evening session, will be recorded and published in the next couple of weeks. So appreciate y'all's attention and engagement joining us here tonight, and wishing you the best next few weeks. Thank y'all again, and go Tigers.
Yeah, go Tigers.